सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। न च तस्मान्मनुष्येषु कश्चिन्मे प्रियकृत्तमः भविता न च मे तस्मात् अन्यः प्रियतरो भुवि अध्येष्यते च य इमम् धर्म्यं संवादमावयोः ज्ञानयज्ञेन तेनाहम् इष्टस्यामिति मे मतिः श्रद्धावाननसूयश्च शृणुयादपि यो नरः सोऽपि मुक्तः शुभान् लोकान् प्राप्नुयात् पुण्यकर्मणाम् कच्चिदेतच्छ्रुतं पार्थ त्वयैकाग्रेण चेतसा कच्चिदज्ञानसम्मोहः प्रनष्टस्ते धनञ्जय। अर्जुन उवाच नष्टो मोहस्मृतिर्लब्धः त्वत्प्रसादान्मयाच्युत स्थितोऽस्मि गतसन्देहः करिष्ये वचनं तव। So we say, no, God is dear to me. God is dear to me. I like God, I worship God. But here Bhagavan says, I may be dear to many people, but only that person is dear to me who does good deeds. And the best deed is to encourage people to study the scripture and be reflective. Because ultimately what matters to a person is clarity about himself. The more one is clear about one's nature, better he behaves. Proper behavior is based upon clarity of mind. Clarity of thinking leads to right behavior. Right behavior leads to all-round shanti. Therefore, the one who contributes to all-round peace through right behavior and through right clear thinking is dear to me, Bhagavan says. I may be dear to thousands, but a right thinking person is dear to me. A fanatic is not. A person who may read Bhagavad Gita and then at the end he thinks he is superior to others because he is reading Bhagavad Gita, and through that superiority complex he may torment others. If you start believing yourself to be superior, then you start tormenting others. Similarly, superiority doesn't come through age also. Just because one is elderly, then this elderly stage of my life, I start thinking I have a right to torment others. And also I expect everybody to listen to me because I am elderly. But there may not be much in you to be received. You may not have much to give. Age itself doesn't create wisdom. Therefore, we give respect to age as much as it deserves. We give respect to age just as much as it deserves. You can respect a person's age, but you cannot blindly follow the person. He may not be the right person, who knows? His thinking may not be right. Can we just little? And therefore Bhagavan says, that I am dear to you alone is not important, alone is not enough, but you should be dear to me. If you have to be dear to me, if you have to be liked by me, then you have to encourage yourself and others to think correctly. And one thing that can help you to think correctly is the scripture, like Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita. Any clear scripture, whatever it is, any clear scripture whose teachings are centered on one's being. The word truth itself is not enough unless it is about me. If I am not the truth, then even if there is some other truth, and even if I come to know it, I get nothing out of it. If I come across a happy person, it doesn't make me happy. It makes me more miserable. Oh, he is so happy, but whereas I am so miserable. Therefore, ultimately, what we all want is to be happy, to be peaceful, to be fulfilled, to be full. I want to reach a stage in my life where I feel all is, with things or without things, I am all right. With things, without things, I am all right. This clarity about oneself is the topic of the scripture. Therefore, whoever encourages others, because sometimes one doesn't have time to study the scripture, but at least he should advise others, you study. If you have time, please do it. At least he spreads the message. You will be a clear thinking person. Study the scripture correctly without superstition. It's like being a scientist without ambition. You only try to get the knowledge and give others. Similarly, be a spiritual person without superstition and try to commercialize that without trying to commercialize that spiritual clarity. Therefore, the one who encourages himself, persuades himself and persuades others to study the scripture, to study Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta, scripture, to pray to the truth, to pray to God, and to follow the spiritual values. Therefore, if a person who encourages himself and others to learn to think correctly, learn to think clearly, meaning learn to think in agreement with the truth. And the truth is that all that you need is yourself. You don't need more than yourself. You don't need more than happiness. You don't need anything more than peace. You don't need more than anything more than fulfillment. Nor is it available. What we universally don't need is also not available. Therefore, the one who encourages spiritual literature is very beautiful. Fanaticism is different. Superstition is different. Using religion to exploit, don't equate all that you come across in the society. Don't equate it with your scripture. Your scripture is very beautiful. It talks of sanity. It talks absolute sanity. Therefore, the one who encourages the world, the one who encourages the others to study the scripture is dear to me. Nacha tasman manushyeshu kaschin me priyakritvam. Nobody is as dear to me as that person who tells people to move towards themselves the truth, to be reflective about themselves, to look within. That person is dearest to me who tells others to look within. That person is dearest to me who tells the waves to look within for water. That person is dearest to me who tells the ocean to look within for fullness. Our attention is constantly with the objects, we miss the truth. Even if we create really the greatest prosperity, it will give us comfort, that's all right, it's necessary, but it doesn't give any fulfillment. That's not possible. Fulfillment is a word synonymous with fullness. Therefore, here Bhagavan says, there is nobody who is dearer to me than the one who encourages the world, tells the world within. Study the scripture that talks about the truth. Bhavita nachame tasmat. Neither there is a person who is as dear to me as this person, nor there will be another who will be dearer to me than this person. Anyaha priyataro bhuvi. Another person, priyatara, who is dearer to me, bhuvi, in this world. I can't find in this creation a better person than who encourages himself and others to look within. The one who looks within is the rightest person, the best person, because when the ocean looks, the ocean is feeling thirsty for water, and even if it goes all over, it only drowns others. It can't quench its thirst. It has to look within. Then it is peaceful. when the ocean is peaceful, the people on the banks also can be peaceful. If the ocean starts moving in search of water, it will drown others. This is exactly man also. The more he searches, the more he harms. The more he harms, the more he disturbs himself and others. And therefore, the best thing for him would be to look within. That's why there is a mechanism. Whenever you are very unhappy, you go back to yourself. Truth is the one that rescues a very tormented mind. When the mind is absolutely tormented, there is no way out. The mind resolves in its own source. When a man is old and he is suffering and suffering and suffering, let us say, due to some disease he is suffering, what is the way out for that person? He has no escape into this world. He just finds a relief within. He sinks into himself, there it is relief. The mind sinks into its own source, the truth. If the tormented mind has to be rescued, there is nothing that can rescue it except its own source, the self. The mind sinks into the self, leaving only the peaceful self. That's why when a man leaves the body, the mind sinks into himself and leaves the body. Even the equation with the body sinks into itself, into himself. Then the survivors feel a sigh of relief. Chalo, at least he's not suffering. Yes, for suffering there is no way out except the truth. That is why the only refuge for a suffering mind is its own source. That is what we call Parameshvara. Parameshvara is just a word. It simply means the source of the mind. Where the mind emerges, where the mind merges back, where the mind manifests, where the mind again becomes unmanifest, that is the truth. And we call it Ishvara, meaning the unlimited. The source of all minds. We can only see the difference between mind and mind, but not between the source and the source. Because the idea of many also sinks. When the mind resolves, the idea of many also resolves. When we say there are so many sounds, when the sounds can be counted, when the sounds resolve, then there is only one silence. Now you can't count the silence. You can't say there are many silences. Words are many and countable, whereas the silence is one. Minds are many, good and bad minds, many types of minds, whereas all the minds sink into their source. Otherwise, there is no way out. The mind gets so disturbed, it has to have a way out. All the medications and then the sleeping pills, they just make it, facilitate its disappearance into its own source. They facilitate the body and the mind to sink into their own source. Therefore, when the thinking sinks into its own source, then the pain felt in the thinking also disappears. Therefore, please understand, the most important thing in life is to look at ourselves rather than looking at a target elsewhere. Our target should be ourselves, our existence. Our destination happens to be ourselves. Like when man he dies, he doesn't reach somewhere, he goes back to himself. When a man feels sleepy, he goes back to himself. He emerges in himself and he emerges from himself. To wake up is to emerge from himself. To fall asleep means to merge back in himself. This is everybody, in everyday's life it is being obvious. Therefore, the mind merges in peace and emerges again in the same Shanti. Therefore, Bhagavan says, there is no one who is dearer to me than the person who looks within. Look at yourself. In fact, there can be Shanti and Shanti in every family if everybody is spiritually reflective. I mean spiritual, self-reflective. This word spirituality has gathered so much of dust around it, so much of moss around it. Therefore, spirituality is nothing but really literature about the truth. Education about oneself is called spirituality. Bhagavan says, he is the dearest to me. Then Bhagavan's next verse, Adhyeshyate cha ya imam. Who else is dearer to you, Bhagavan? Adhyeshyate. Spirituality is in the form of studying the literature about oneself. Just as we have physics, the literature about physics, there is a literature called chemistry about the chemicals. There is medical books talking about the body. There are again psychology books talking about the mind. Similarly, Vedanta is the literature that talks about the self. Bhagavad Gita is also the same. It is a Vedanta. It is called Bhagavad Gita, talked by God. It is a taught by God. That is the meaning of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavata Gita. Bhagavan ke dwara gaya gaya. They are all in the form of verses. Therefore, Bhagavad Gita means Bhagavan ke dwara, the very truth sings its nature. The truth itself conveys to man the nature of the truth. And therefore, it's like an enlightened wave talking to other unenlightened waves about the glory of their nature called ocean. And therefore, spirituality is in the form of studying one's existence, please. Studying means studying to know. Like a diamond seller, he keeps the diamond in his hand, he puts it on his palm, and then there is a magnifying glass. Have you been to Jaipur any time? In Jaipur, just enter some diamond wala ka dukaan. There are only diamond shops there. They are all diamond sellers, Jaipur. Then you ask him, Hamara Swamiji kahte the, diamond seller, I want to see how you examine the diamond. Then he will take up a diamond and then take a magnifying glass. He studies it. Is it a nakli one or the real one? What is its nature? What is its value? This is called studying. Studying means going into its nature. That is called studying. Reading a book is different from studying what is said there. You study, you explore, you analyze. That is called a study. That is called adhyayanam. When you read a newspaper, it's called reading. But you don't study newspaper. Why this happened? All that. That's not study. Just you skip through and then throw it away. Lot of things in this life are like newspaper. Today they are relevant, tomorrow they are irrelevant. Sometimes they are relevant in the morning and irrelevant in the evening. Yes, very relevant. But I want you to see the difference between casual reading and studying something. Study the. Therefore, our existence is meant to be studied by us. I need to study my existence. That is called swadhyaya. Swa means oneself. Adhyayanam means studying myself. Am I this form? If I am this form, then I should not be aware of the form. Why? Because a form cannot be aware of itself. Like the table is not aware of itself. This world is not aware of itself. Matter is not aware of itself. The sun is not aware of itself. Whereas I am aware of myself. That means I am not a form. I should not be a form. Therefore, thus take the help of reasoning. Take the help of logic. And take the help of the Shastram. And study your existence. If I am there, when a given thought comes and goes, but I see I am there in every thought, that means I have continuity. The idea of me is there in every thought. The idea of me is there throughout the waking. The idea of me is there throughout the dream. The idea of me is there even when I am peaceful. Peaceful me is there. You are not imagining anything about yourself, but you are peaceful. In deep sleep state. Therefore, when you study very deeply about yourself, you start seeing you have no discontinuity in life. You have no discontinuity even when there is no thought. And you have no discontinuity even when the time discontinues. When you fall asleep, the time discontinues for you. You are not aware of time. The time discontinues for you. Whereas you continue as peaceful. And when the time is again reappears, you are there. Therefore, there is a time when the time itself is not, but there is no time where you are not, when you are not. There is a place where the space is not, but there is no place where you are not, because every place is a thought and you are there as the seer, as the awarer. In this manner, Bhagavan says, spirituality is more in the form of studying one's existence, not looking for new experiences, not looking for some mystical experiences. That is mysticism. Mysticism is different from spirituality. Mysticism is subjective imaginations. You imagine something. Supposing somebody says, you go to Yamuna bank and then there is a cremation ground. Raat ko take a skull and repeat this mantra. You will get some Shakti. What is it? Mysticism. In Sanskrit it means Tantra. Mysticism is an English term for every kind of Tantra. It almost borders on superstition. Subjective imagination. But spirituality is great. It is studying your existence, which is obvious. There is no imagination. Right attitude gives you relative peace. Right attitude can help you live with your people more happily, more peacefully. Is it mysticism or logical? Right attitude gives you happiness. Is it mysticism or logical? Logical. If it is logical, it is good for me. Anything that is understandable is all logical. How by holding the skull of a dead man and in the middle of the night on Yamuna Theorem, which is thinking there, and I repeat some mantra, how I am going to get capacity? How I get? It's ununderstandable, it is illogical. This is called imagination. Spirituality, Adhyatma Vidya. In Sanskrit, the word for spirituality is Adhyatma Vidya, understanding oneself, understanding one's existence, studying one's existence. Therefore, here Krishna puts emphasis. Another person who is very dear to me is the one who encourages the scriptural study. Adhyeshyate, जो अध्ययन करवाता है, अध्ययन करता है और करवाता है. अध्ययन जो करवाता है, करता है और करवाता है. अध्येष्यते च यह ही हु, चा मीन्स एंड, यह मीन्स ही हु जो व्यक्ति, इमम इसको. The one who encourages people to study the literature about their existence, the self, which is called dharmyam. Our truth is dharmyam because it never becomes otherwise. It never becomes otherwise. If the self is full, it is always full. We are conscious. A tribal man was conscious. A medieval man was conscious. Even a modern man is conscious. Their thinking may be different, but all their thinking they were aware of. So this particular ingredient of being conscious, that is the nature of the truth, and it never becomes otherwise. What becomes, like the body never becomes otherwise than change. It never stops changing. That is its nature. If you want to immortalize your body, and you take some medicines, etc., can you stop the change in the body? Maximum 1 or 2 years you can extend life. Swarna Bhasma. Swarna Bhasma, some people do prachara. If you take Swarna Bhasma means, gold, the ashes of gold. So these gold sellers, they do prachara. If you take Swarna Bhasma, then you will increase your lifespan. So that people will come and buy gold. So behind all advertisement there is a commercial interest, please understand. Nobody is interested in your living a longer life. If somebody is interested, if he says, we want you to live longer and you take Swarna Bhasmam, it is a commercial interest. Yes. Only those who study Vedanta, those who understand Vedanta, they understand everybody needs this. There is no commercial interest. Adhyeshyate cha yaha imam dharmyam. The body doesn't change, you can't immortalize the body, please. People sometimes come up with some medical beliefs, now the scientists have come up with some kind of medicine which can stop the body from changing. I tell you, it will be too boring. Supposing one doesn't grow old, and if you are stuck with some problem, old age is a relief, so that I am going to go away from all these people. It is a relief. Even that relief will be gone. Therefore, immortalizing the wrong is not good. मुसीबत को इमोर्टलाइज नहीं करना चाहिए, मुसीबत से छुटकारा पाना चाहिए. Yes. Therefore, accept the body with all its changes. Your preoccupation should be to understand the changeless. Live with the changing to understand the changeless. Therefore, adhyeshyate cha yaha imam dharmyam. The one who encourages others to study the literature. Now, studying the Bhagavad Gita is not just memorizing Bhagavad Gita, studying one's existence, because one's existence is the topic. When you read a book of physics, you are not memorizing it. You have to verify, is it all true? Are there laws like this? You are looking at the physics of the creation, the physics in the creation. When you are studying a medical book, you are studying only the body. Similarly, when you are studying Bhagavad Gita, you are studying your existence. I am emphasizing it so much because this is not the generally people don't have this sanskara of studying the scripture, and studying the scripture means only studying oneself. Samvadam, a person who encourages others to study this samvada, this dialogue between Bhagavan and Arjuna. All teachings, that any teaching is different from preaching. Preaching means giving advices. Preaching is giving advices. Just as you do to your children. Parents keep on preaching. The children, जल्दी उठो, जल्दी तैयार हो जाओ, मार्केट मत जाओ, घर में बैठो, किसी के साथ बात नहीं करना. All that you say, don't, that alone the children will do. This is what is called preaching. Teaching means when a scientist, when a physics teacher is teaching, is he preaching physics or teaching? Meaning means unfolding every law. Unfolding. Where there is unfoldment, that is called teaching. Understand the difference between preaching and teaching, you will be much better off in life. Preaching means giving all the time advices. ये करो, वो मत करो, ये करो, वो मत करो, ये करो, वो मत करो, etc., etc., etc. Maybe they are useful, but then that's different from teaching. Teaching is you go, you study and explain why. Explaining why. Explaining what it is. Explaining what it is. Explaining why it is. That's called teaching. Explanation. Teaching is always in the form of explaining, unfoldment. When you go to a college, the teachers there, the lecturers, don't preach you, they teach you. That is called a teacher. Bhagavan Krishna was not a preacher. He was a teacher. I want you to allow this word teacher to touch you. Krishna was a teacher. He unfolded the truth to Arjuna. He made Arjuna look at himself and study himself and understand. Bhagavad Gita, properly studied, it unfolds our existence. It tells us what we are. It points out what we are. It unfolds what we are. It doesn't tell the wave, hey, don't go here and there. It says, hey, you don't have to go here and there because you are already water, ocean. You're already full. Therefore, Vedanta doesn't advise, Vedanta unfolds. Vedanta doesn't advise, Vedanta unfolds. And that is what is called samvadam. Samvada means teaching. And there is another thing called vada. Vada means arguing with each other. Vivada means arguing with sticks. You understand, जब भी शास्त्र अर्थ होता है, people used to go, all the Sanskrit scholars would go with the dandas. Because ultimately the shastra artha will end up in fights. World religious meet, what happened there? Argument. Ultimately. They start fighting. Very difficult. Therefore, what happened between Krishna and Arjuna was not Vada, Vivada, but Samvada. Samvada means there is someone to teach, unfold. There is somebody to receive. Avayo. Therefore, if a person goes on advising one-sided advice, you go on, you are not unfolding, you are only going on giving beliefs, one after another, belief. This is all called just a preaching. It's all called a preaching. If you say why, if you say don't ask questions, listen. सुनते रहो, कुछ बात नहीं करना. Giving sermons. You understand? Sermon after sermon. Sermons are different from teaching. Sermons are different from teaching. Is it true? Yes. Because human beings don't understand the difference between advices and teaching, they are suffering. Because you should go for teaching. You should go for the unfoldment. You should go for understanding yourself. You should study yourself, and therefore Adhyeshyate chayayimam dharmyam samvadamavayoho. Avayoho means between. You and me, Arjuna. This great teaching that is transpiring between you and me, I am teaching and you are receiving. This whole teaching which is in the form of Bhagavad Gita, whoever encourages himself to study or whoever encourages others to study, in the form of Jnana Yajnana. It is called Jnana Yajna. Studying scripture is called Jnana Yajna. It is worshipping the truth. We have Dravya Yajnas. When you perform a ritual where you offer, swaha, swaha, swaha into the fire, that is called Dravya Yajna. Swaha means consumed. Swaha. Amayantu brahmacharina swaha. Vimayantu brahmacharina swaha. Pramayantu brahmacharina swaha. When you say swaha, swaha, Indraya swaha, Agnaye swaha, this is called a Dravya Yajna. For educated people, they don't interest these rituals. But you can do the Jnana Yajna. Because education makes you grow up so much. You grow out of lot of superstitions. You grow out of lot of illogical things. You grow out of lot of blind beliefs. Education is great, Ji. Even modern education makes you a thinking person. Therefore, but then, he is most qualified for Vedanta, for Bhagavad Gita. An educated mind is ready for understanding sensible things. Minus the modern education, you start swallowing all superstitions. You start swallowing all blind beliefs. But modern education doesn't make you swallow the superstitions and blind beliefs. You want reasoning. And that is exactly what Vedanta gives you, reasoning. Reasoning is necessary for understanding. Therefore, this is also Jnana Yajna. Studying your existence is also a kind of Yajna. You are doing swaha of your ignorance. Haji, when you perform a ritual, when you say swaha, so what you offer is consumed by the fire. Your ignorance and your superstitions and your illusions are all consumed by clarity. Yes, all our confusions are consumed by our clarity. Therefore, clarity becomes like the fire. And what we offer unto that fire of knowledge is called habis, dravya, confusions. All confusions get burnt by our clarity. Therefore, even studying our existence, the truth, is called Jnana Yajna. It is a Yajna. A Yajna is that in which something consumes something. Even when you eat food, it is called Yajna. It is Yajna. Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, Brahmagno Brahmanavatam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam, Brahmakarma Samadhina. All over India it is there. Means what? The eater is Brahman, the eater is Parameshwara, the hand is Parameshwara, the food is Parameshwara, the giver is Parameshwara. You look upon everything that is connected to food as Parameshwara, is the truth, is Bhagavan. And with that attitude, if you eat, definitely you will not bite the hand that feeds you. Is it not? You will not bite the hand that feeds you. Says Ishvara. Because in the modern times, mother feeds the children throughout life and they bite her own hand when she becomes old. They wait for her to become old. They wait for her to become old and then they neglect it. You should be extremely unfortunate to neglect your old parents. Why? Because that is the best opportunity to repay your debt. The parents' debt is repaid only when they are old. Look after them well. Make them feel great in your care. Make them feel great in your care. I tell you, Bhagavan's both the hands will be on your head. Blessings. Therefore, Jnana Yajnena Tena Ahamishtaha Tena. A person who encourages himself and others to study the teaching about the truth, which study is called Jnana Yajna, which teaching is called Jnana Yajna. Tena, by him, Aham, I, Ishtaha Syam, I stand best worshipped. I stand best worshipped by that person who encourages the study of the scripture. Wow. Ishtaha Syam. Iti me matihi. This is my firm thinking, Krishna says. This is my sammati. This is my thinking, that whoever encourages others to study their existence more closely with the help of the scriptural literature. This is not a book of belief, it is a book of study, it is a book of knowledge. Bhagavad Gita doesn't advise you, it unfolds. Even karma yoga, it unfolds. And now, these few minutes I will tell you how I clap. Okay? Over clapping I have a choice. I can clap, I need not clap. I can clap this way, I can clap this way. I need not clap, I can do like this. But once I finish the action, I can't control the sound, the result. I can't control that. That means we have a control over action, we have no control over result. Is it preaching or unfolding? Yes. Therefore be careful about your action. Because once you perform an action, the result is going to come. The result will come. Sometimes it comes immediately, sometimes it may take a little time. Sometimes it takes time to grow up. Like you sow the seed, it takes time to get the fruit of it. Today you sow the mango seed, you don't get by evening a mango fruit. Even if you go and then take it out and then see, is it germinating? Is it germinating? Every day you go and see the mango seed. Kahan tak aaya hai, kahan tak aaya hai. Are you going to get fruit? No. In fact, this generation plants the trees, next generation gets the fruit. Similarly, you got the fruit, that is fruit of a tree that was planted by previous generation somewhere. Fruit always sometimes takes time. But every action does produce result. Actions come under law of causation. Therefore, your mental thoughts also are actions. Your mental feelings are also action. Therefore, be careful not to entertain wrong thoughts, wrong feelings, wrong emotions, wrong attitudes, etc. They will have the result. Therefore, keep your mind clean. Keep your mind clean because they do bring results. Now, is it preaching or unfolding? That is what Bhagavad Gita does. Bhagavan unfolds. Whatever he says, he unfolds. This verse is also over, Ji. Therefore, encourage children to study. Next verse, Ji. Shraddhavananasuyascha Shrunuyadapi yo naraha Sopi mukta shubhan lokan Prapnuyat punya karmanam. Sometimes we don't spend time to understand what we read, but just simply by reading the verses, by reciting the verses, even without understanding, will give you punya, Bhagavan says. A good action, even if you do mechanically, it will have good result. Supposing every day you take, doctor gives you some medicine, and every day you take that medicine mechanically, but it will work. A right action, even if you do reluctantly, a right action, even if you do mechanically, reluctantly, ritualistically, still it will have result. Therefore, reciting the verses which unfold the truth, even recitation of these verses without even understanding them mechanically will have its result. And that result is called punya. Recitation born result is called punya. And what does punya give you? It gives you some material blessing when you need it. Punya it has affinity with comfortable survival. If a person is comfortably surviving, he gets a lot of money, he has got a nice house, a good partner, good children, it's a punya karma. Yes, otherwise he doesn't deserve any of those things. But somehow he is born with a silver spoon in his mouth, that means punya karma. Punya gives you physical, mental comfort. Any right action done even mechanically gives you punya. But supposing I do the right action with the knowledge that it is good for my it is a step towards knowing the truth. Every right action is a step towards the truth. Then it will force me towards the truth. It will propel me, prompt me, move me towards the truth. Therefore, even a wrong action, even if you do mechanically, it will have wrong result. That is why you say a wrong thing to one of your family members and then you say, I didn't mean it. That means you without meaning, if you said, that means you said it mechanically. But the other person is already hurt. Oh, no, I know. So many times you hurt me, and then afterwards you say, I didn't mean it. Then what is it that you mean in life? You do something and I say, I don't mean it. You say something and you don't mean it. Then what is it that you actually mean? Therefore, the right gives you punya when you do it even mechanically. Wrong gives you papa even if you do it mechanically. All this analysis makes you live with the presence of mind. You should never be absent-minded when you talk or when you do. Always have presence of mind. What am I saying? Let me think and do. Let me think and say. Presence of mind stops you from being mechanical. Then you will do the right action, deliberate. Therefore, what are we doing? And therefore, whatever Bhagavad Gita says, it only unfolds. Now, whatever you are hearing, is it preaching or teaching? Teaching, yes. The world, nobody can be disinterested in listening to the teaching. But if you go on preaching, ye karo, wo mat karo, ye mat karo, wo mat karo, then they get cheesed off. Then they say, Mummy, will you please go to your Gita class so that we can survive here? But it's already time, Mummy, you are supposed to go to Gita class. Why are you interested in sending Mummy to Gita class? That is because we have some bharam, some weight is off our head. Therefore, even if you preach, try to unfold it. Beta, it is not like this, it's like this, yes. But listen to me. This will create. The whole world is functioning through law of causation. You can't make a mistake and then not have the result. There is causation. Like science talks about causation. If you are disciplined, you will be happy. If you take right food, you will be happy. That is the causation. If you talk nicely, you will be happy. You will be appreciated. Therefore, you get more and more happiness from your right behavior. Happiness doesn't come from there. You become the source for your happiness. Your clarity becomes the source for your happiness. Unfold like this. Nicely talk. Don't throw words. Don't throw words, they hurt. Just nicely sit with a person and talk. Have patience in teaching. Patiently talk to the child. They will, even if you talk very slowly, don't use loud voice. They get scared. Nicely. You should talk to them in whispers. Yes. It's always better to teach things in whispers. I like it. But if you jhado, your entire preaching jhado, then they will say, Mummy, it is already 8:30, please. The driver is ready, he is waiting for you. Please go for Gita class, otherwise, what will that Swami do, poor thing? Without the students, please go. Do you want to hear all that from your children? No. And therefore here, next verse is going to say, even simple recitation, mechanical recitation of a right thing will give you punya. Even mechanical recitation will give you some blessing. Even mechanical recitation of japa will give you some. Don't say what is the use of being mechanical. I say it is better to do the right thing even mechanically. It is better to go for a walk even mechanically. It is better to be useful for your parents mechanically. Do the right thing even absent-mindedly, please. Do the right thing even absent-mindedly. All this will come, we will see it in the next class. Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Ganga Maiya ki Jai.